Does anyone smell anything smoky?
Did you bring your jerky in again?
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Fire! Oh, fire! Oh my goodness! What's the procedure? What do we do, people?
The phones are dead!
Oh, how did that happen?
It's out in the hall.
No, we don't know that. The smoke could be coming through an air duct.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
Wait.
Everybody calm down.
All right, welcome back to another week of Muskies On Tap. I'm your host, Gus Manti, and we got another exciting one for you guys here today. We have Tyler Andrews, the Guru, coming on for an interview. We're really looking forward to shooting some questions over to him and just seeing what he's got to say. So it's going to be really interesting, and I can't wait. So the other Muskies On Tap crew on tonight, I'll introduce them. We got Max Manti and Brian Eckel. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good tonight, Gus. You can probably hear it in my voice a little bit, just coming off of our draft day weekend, celebrating Labor Day. Yeah, I mean, it took a lot of energy out of me, had a lot of fun, but lesson learned this weekend is this old dog just can't hunt like he used to, man. Tell you what, trying to keep up with you young guns was a time, but yeah, I had a blast. You know, unfortunately, we didn't get much fishing in, but that's all right. It was a good break. We're gearing up for what's going to be, I think, a very successful and fun fall. So no worries there. You know, it was really hot this weekend, better for kind of pontoon cruising and, you know, drinking a couple 13, 14 beers instead of fishing. So I hope all the people that did get out and fish this weekend, you know, had successful trips. I also very happy to see our good buddy Brian Eckel's shining face here on camera. Always brightens the mood. How's it going tonight, Brian?
I'm doing a little bit better than yesterday. Pretty beat up for the draft weekend shenanigans. And it's kind of funny because we tried to play it smart, kind of like all planned on taking it easy Sunday night, last night up there, and be able to, you know, feel decent come Monday. And got on that boat. One beer led to another. And yeah, ended up having another long night. So we're gonna be in a good 48-hour hangover rehab sesh. And yeah, happy to be here. Hopefully this will cure some of the shakes.
Yeah, not that you guys probably care too much about our drinking weekend, but what was the highlight, I guess, for you guys this weekend?
Probably, I mean, it kind of has to be the same for all of us. We have every year we do a 4/5v5 scramble. And this year it was a younger gun, so Gus and I, another one of our buddies, and then Gus's dad, we were on a team versus Max and some of his buddies, and ended up coming down to the last hole. We were all tied up. Max's group was in front of Gus and my group, and they ended up birdieing it. And so, you know, we were basically one down. We had to birdie the last coming in. And I think Gus hit it to like 30 feet. Three of us missed the putt, and our buddy, shout out Cougs, stepped over it, nailed a 30-footer to save the day and push it to OT.
Oh, did he save the day?
Well, we don't need to talk about OT, but that putt in the moment was spectacular. So that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a blast, man. Couldn't have drawn it up any better.
Storybook.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Gus, what about you?
I'm definitely gonna have to agree on the whole scramble match that we had, but I don't want to steal Brian's answer, so I might as well just go with the in-person draft that we hold, where not only did I probably just draft some absolute dogs, but also
that wasn't your attitude after the draft.
Yeah, I know. My team is looking a little shaky, but at least
they got the dog deep down.
I got some dogs on the team, on the squad, but I think the highlight of that was Papa Manti coming through with some mid-draft sliders and homemade queso.
Oh yeah.
And that hit the spot. That made it nice, or at least I don't know if it was better they were having it outside when it was 90 degrees and 100% humidity, but
Yeah,
and blaring sun.
that little draft snack of those sliders is a blessing and a curse. They're way too delicious. Therefore, I eat more than I should. And you mix that with some alcohol, and my stomach's just been in shambles the last 2 days. But I don't regret any decision, and I took some queso home with me and had it last night, so I clearly didn't learn my lesson.
Oh my God.
I just had some tonight for dinner as well, so it's too good to pass.
Well, to put a Northwood spin on the whole ordeal, it's not that we were fishing this week, we weren't fishing this weekend, but Northwoods, does have more to offer than just some great musky fishing. It's a great spot to just enjoy some time with some friends and family. So I was happy to be able to do that. This league that we do is a lot of fun. It's a lot of people that come in from all over the map, and we had people fly in from Colorado, people drive up from all over the state of Wisconsin. We came over from Minnesota. So yeah, it's just a good time. I'll celebrate in the Northwoods, and you just can't draw it up much better. But let's get back to some fishing talk. Gus, I know you were out today. You did a little solo mission, doing some exploratory stuff, and you had a really good week last week. So kind of give us a report on what's been going on in the Northwoods, what you've been seeing up there, and what you can kind of look forward to here. Because I know we got a big shift in the weather happening. I believe tonight we're recording here on Tuesday, and things are about to change pretty big time up there.
Yeah, I think the weather's about to drop by the time this podcast is out. It's going to be like 50 degrees or 45 or something like that, or maybe colder. I don't know, but the previous week, the week of like that last week of August rolling into September 1st, the Friday starting Labor Day weekend. That was a really good week. We had to start it off, the last Monday night league night, my dad and I decided to roll to a brand new lake, and just out of the blue, and it actually paid off. Ended up getting a 37.5 to close out the year. As I know, we did not come in the placement that we wanted to throughout the year, but it was a little bit harder. I'm very thankful that we did well in Tuesday night league, but at least got that last fish to end the season on a high note. That one came along with a couple other fish seen, as well as one that was kind of pushing that mid-40s that ended up stopping the blades of my bucktail because it was pushing so much water on the bait and trying to eat it that the blade stopped. And I went to I don't even know what I was doing, if I was trying to start the blades again, and then all of a sudden this massive mouth just comes up 5 feet away from my feet and just blows up the water and turns away and creates this massive boil. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought that fish was hot enough where it would come back for the bait again, but it ended up not. So that was a bummer, but at least got that one. And I think the Monday night had a giant storm, which the pre-storm fishing, got that fish, and it's phenomenal as always. I mean, in league, there's a bunch of numbers caught. And then the temps kind of dropped last week prior to Labor Day. And there was one morning that I was out at sunrise, and it was like almost a frost warning. My hands were numb for like 2 hours. There was so much fog lifting off the water, but the whole bite during the week was actually really good. We were able to get multiple bites per day, and on few occasions landing multiple fish. And there's a few of some lost fish as well, during that kind of gradual warm up, which seemed to get fish fired up to eat. But I know I was talking to you, Max and Brian, about how the feedback was just not there. We were fishing really hard, fishing all these good spots in and out of the major. Fish were coming in the major and out of the major, but there was I think last week there might have been more bites than follows in total. And it was just if you're able to capitalize on those bites. I mean, there's one day where we had 0 follows, 4 bites, 2 landed. There's another day where we had 1 follow, 2 bites, 2 landed. And then there's another day where we had like 2 bites, 2 landed, and like 3 follows maybe. I don't know. They're usually, I mean, the temps were still kind of hovering in that like 68 to 71 or so last week. It's not like it was super cold, but it was surprising to me that the fish were just not following. And I kind of suspected that to be a little bit of a push up shallow. I think I talked about it last week, and it was definitely the case. I mean, all the fish that we're catching are, I mean, I guess kind of weed edge, but they were coming from within the weeds. I mean, about half of our bites last week were within the first 3 seconds of a cast. 2 of them were actually splashdown eats, and that is how we got those bites. Just like ferocious strikes, almost reactionary strikes, landing like way up in the weeds, and then having the fish hit because it lands on their head or something.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it sounds like obviously it's a successful week. I mean, a few multiple bite days, few multiple fish days, I should say. You were out with some guide trips, you were out fishing with some podcast listeners actually. And so, I mean, it sounds like it was a really good week. I mean, do you think you'd attribute some of that to that first kind of real cool down? I mean, I know when I jumped in the water on Saturday, it was a little shock to the system. I was surprised how cold the water was. So I clearly, it's kind of getting to be that time, shorter days, less sunlight penetrating the water. So feels like it's kind of getting to be that time now where the fish are, some of the bigger fish are going to start pushing in here.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like a first snippet of the first cool down. I'm looking at the weather here now, and when this podcast comes out, the day that Thursday's high is 57, low 40. I know that could probably change, but probably not too much. And we're looking like in the 10-day, only one other day after that is going to be above 70. The rest is just we got a bunch of rain. We got a bunch of highs in the 60s and even low 60s. So I'm
Is it too
excited
cold? Is
for
that too cold?
That's gonna be a
it's
shock
gonna
to the
be
system.
I think it's gonna be a shock at first. It might be like really good right away, and then it might put a damper on things, and then once it goes back to consistent, which it looks like it's actually consistently going to stay colder, and as opposed to just like get hot again, I think that could be really good.
So with what you've noticed with like some cold fronts throughout the year, or I guess in the past heading into the fall season, would you say like right away this kind of like quick bite window during this cold shock they'll be reacting to, loud, fast bucktail presentations, or do you expect them to be on your pull pause rubber presentations, or not till like maybe after this cold front or once they get acclimated, get on the big rubber?
Ooh, I think there's gonna be that fast bucktail bite. I don't know if it's gonna be giant bucktails or small bucktails. I'm gonna mix it up a whole bunch, but I think that fast bucktail bite is gonna come back. We got that in July. I didn't see much of it in August, and I think it's gonna come back with the temps that we're getting. I was trying that actually last week, and we were getting pretty much 90% of our bites on pull pause rubber and type presentations. And actually this morning, it's currently Tuesday the 5th, and it was hot, really muggy, really windy. I tried burning blades. I didn't get anything to react. The only time I lost, I guess I had 2 nippers, and those ones that nipped were on medium paced bucktails. I had some follows on pull pause, but they just didn't want to react to any. I mean, there was like about to be a little bit of rain. There was a good midday major, and nothing seemed to fire those fish up. And I think I was maybe out during either the wrong time, or I was just doing the wrong presentations. And that's sometimes the bummer about going solo. And just the bummer about, it's I had 3 full days off and just trying to get back on the wagon and get the bite going again. And I tried to do the last week's bite and it just didn't really work. So I think what was happening last week, I would just repeat it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna repeat that pull pause bite. And I know I've talked to you guys, but found not a new bait, but found a new presentation that I'm pretty excited about.
Are you gonna spill the beans, or are you gonna wait until when we're talking about this winter until
Ooh, I don't know. Well, it has to do with pull pause and I don't know. Should I?
I'll just spill the beans. He's using the brand new.
I'd hold off on that one for a few
I think I'm
weeks.
going to as well. I just realized that we're going to be using that presentation heavily in September. I think we're going to use it in a different way in October, but right now it's like, I don't know, without spilling the beans, it's basically a pull pause presentation, but I can still work it fast and feel like I'm covering water and I'm able to work it shallow. So it's almost like a best of both worlds.
There you go. Cool. Well, should we dive into the conversation here with the guru? Just popped on, so it's good to see his shining face as well.
Oh yeah. Let's get
How
after it.
doing?
There you go.
That's
Guru,
right.
how we
He's on.
Without further ado, the Guru 2.0 interview.
He's back.
He's back. We could have talked to this guy for a long time on his first appearance with us, so we're very thankful he wanted to come back on and chat with us schmucks. I know he's been able to finally spend some time up in the North Woods of Wisconsin, so we're pretty excited to hear about how that's been. So Guru, how you doing tonight, and how has your time been in Northern Wisco?
Dude, I've been doing pretty good. I haven't done a whole lot of fishing, just doing dog training, getting ready for duck season. My dog's coming along pretty well. She's turned out to be a very, very, very intelligent dog. She picks up commands quick. But in the time I've been out fishing, I've been doing pretty good. I've fished the last 2 weekends and put a mid-40s in the boat. Then 2 casts later, put a 39 in the boat. Had a three fish weekend last weekend, nothing big, but it was just kind of fish in the morning for an hour, fish in the evening for an hour, just popping dinks, and it's been it's been pretty fun. But that mid-40s last weekend on the lake I was fishing is not very known for anything big, so that was basically like catching a 55. That is pretty great.
I saw the picture and it looked like it had some adulthood to it. It looked pretty old. So what's the story on that one?
Well, I was throwing a new Suic that I bought at a show from Team Rhino Outdoors. I think it was like it's like Dew Perch or something. One of those new screw and weighted Suics.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I love Suics, but those new screw and weighted ones, they just run perfect every time. Like they're so good.
Is that the plastic ones, the new ones with the like a 9-inch screw and weight plastic ones?
Yeah, I was using the 9-inch plastic one. I've actually got a wood one that's 12 inches, and I got like orange belly perch in the 12-incher, but I was using the 9, just like the lowest weight, and that was just enough to make it almost neutrally buoyant, but it would kind of like rise up, like it'd take like 10 seconds to rise up to the surface, so it just like sit in their face. And for whatever reason that day they weren't hot, but there's this one cabbage bed that I like fishing, and I'm just like slow pull pause and just letting it sit there forever, and that 44 just came up and inhaled it. I bet that Suic was sitting there in front of its face for seconds, just having to look at it, and then like, all right, I'll just eat this whole thing. For those new Suics, man, they run so good. I highly recommend them to anybody. They're very good. Don't buy yourself a bar fighter. These work just as good.
I actually have that 9-inch plastic custom weighted Suic. I got it at the show as well. I think I got like the basic sucker pattern, just probably my all-time favorite. And I only ran it just a few times this summer and nothing on it yet, but man, you're right. That thing is running pretty dang good. Like really good. I can't wait to run it right now. Actually, forgot to add that in the old fishing update, I'm gonna start running the crap out of Suiks. I've been like neglecting them this whole summer, kind of, just because they didn't do so hot in July when
That
they
was your
did
go-to bait.
Yeah,
when
that's
they
your
did
baby.
amazing last year. Yeah, last year it was sunset and I just threw on a Suick. No questions asked. Didn't matter the weather. I just threw it on. But this summer, I have been not paying attention to it.
I love them. Diving rises, man. It's just something about them. They always work.
So what were your other 3 or 4 fish caught on? Were any of those on the Suic as well?
No, I changed it up. It was like bright bluebird conditions, like 95 degrees out, super hot. But oddly, the lake was 69 degrees water temp. And I'm just like, I'm kind of, as I've gotten older, I'm still young, but I just kind of, if the conditions are hot out or it's just crappy, I'm not casting. I'll just troll. So 2 of the fish were caught trolling, and then 1 was caught in the morning on a fat bastard. I was just trolling jointed depth raiders in a color that's not made anymore.
Of course.
Yeah, one of the old Lake of the Wood perches ones that they don't see that color no more. That's why I run it.
I want to ask you because I think Gus's buddy had a story pretty recently of this happening. But have you tried trolling topwater?
Yeah. That's
any success on that?
Effectively?
I think once. I don't know. I don't really have much confidence in it because you'll be running it on the surface, but there's so many weeds floating around. You just gotta be cleaning baits every couple seconds. It's just kind of sucks, especially if you're in Minneapolis or on like the Eagle River chain where there's just people are chopping up weeds all the time. It's kind of impossible.
Oh yeah,
I've seen people do it.
Absolutely impossible. I actually saw somebody this summer row trolling 2 topwaters on a cold front, bright sunny, middle of the day.
That seems money.
Yeah.
Was the dude 85?
At least.
Yeah. Those old timers love their roll trolling. I'm good.
That's a lot of work to catch a fish.
Dude, no thank you. No thank you. I like it easy.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Have you been able to fish at all in Minnesota much lately? Or has it just been the northern Wisconsin trips?
Just some northern Wisconsin trips the last 2 weekends. Other than that, I have not fished Minnesota since June. It's just I fished in July with my friend Alex, but it's just I don't know. I don't really care for Minneapolis fishing metro lakes in the summer. It's hot, a lot of boat traffic. The fish are highly pressured. I mean, that's kind of all Minnesota waters. They're highly pressured, but right now is the time to start hitting Minnesota waters. I'm going to Detroit Lakes this weekend.
Oh, nice. I'll be curious to hear how that trip goes. I mean, still living in Minneapolis now. I think I'm on year 6, and this summer I told myself I was going to get out and do some metro fishing. And you're spot on, man. I if it was cold or it rained this summer, it wasn't for more than 30 minutes at a time. I mean, it's just been hot. It's been sunny. I can't even imagine what like a Minnetonka or white bear has looked like on, a Saturday, Sunday when I'd be able to fish. I mean, it's just probably a zoo. So I'm good on that.
It'll be brutal until we get that first or second cool down. And then the whole month of September in the metro is going to be great. Then that's the time I'm like, all right, I'm going to go fishing because I can actually have a good shot at catching something with a little bit more ease.
Right. All right. So, you touched on Minneapolis. You're going to get out and do some fishing now that it's cooling down. I know at least for us 3, when that weather starts, dipping below that 70 mark and the water temps start creeping down, it's our favorite time. Leaves are changing, which already has been going on in northern Wisconsin. I thought that was a little premature, but I drive back on Monday and I was amazed at how much it changed from Friday when I drove up to Monday when I drove home. I mean, it's just crazy. So are you going to be able to do any northern Wisconsin fishing this fall? I know you got some hunting in mind too. So, what are your thoughts there? Are you going to be able to get out?
Yeah. I'll probably do some October fishing in the Northwoods, maybe a little bit, kind of rope in some duck hunting for the dog. Probably just a lot of sucker stuff, a lot of trolling. Might go up to a cool sucker lake that's kind of tucked away and just kind of live up there for a little bit.
There you go.
I'll probably quit musky fishing mid-October just because I want to hunt, there's just so much to do in fall. There's just
I
there's just
know.
too much. It's hard to you can duck hunt, you can bow hunt for deer, you can go musky fishing. Like, geez,
It's
what are we gonna do here?
way too short of a season. Like I think the ideal amount of fall would be like the length of summer, if possible. Like good 4 months, because it feels like in Wisconsin, if we're lucky, we get like a really good like 4 to 5 week stretch at most until it either gets, because you know that there's going to be some gnarly weekends. It always snows in October. We've kind of joked about that, trying to pick out some fishing weekends. We're like, well, close your eyes and whatever, throw it at the dartboard. One of these weekends is going to be completely washed weather-wise. So
we've had mid-Octobers where it's like 70 and sunny and you're sweating out there, and then we've had some where it's just flurrying in mid-October and miserable.
So like when you're going out for an October trip, you talked about tucking away and soaking some suckers. Is that kind of your go-to way to fish in the fall? Just real nice, slow and easy, throw some suckers out there and then enjoy the scenery?
Depends on my energy level. if I had if I'm tired, I might just take my dad out, put some suckers out, and just kind of relax and talk shit all day. But if I'm feeling a little bit more antsy, I might, fish a suic or a glide bait on like a deep weed edge or something and, drag a sucker. But, I always have, in October, I always have a sucker out. It's just, I kind of hate fishing suckers because I always seem to get suckers that are assholes.
Are you just buying these at the store? Like you're not going and harvesting these yourself?
No, I don't want to do that.
I thought we'd get some ninja tricks here for like barehanded sucker catching. I was kind of hoping for that. Like, all right, you got to go to this stretch of river out of Wisconsin at this certain day. This time
I do have
a
spot actually that I've seen suckers spawn, and I'm like, that's a good spot to like net suckers. But I have so many hobbies and so much gear. I'm like, I don't need another one. I don't need another hobby. Start netting suckers, like farming suckers.
Train your hunting dog to catch them. You can make some money off them.
Honestly, she'd probably pick it up.
You'd have to get her trained well enough where she's just grabbing tails and not just T-boning those things.
Dude, she's a savage.
I've seen those Instagram stories. She gets pretty psycho.
Dude, it's crazy. It's I've been buying chuckers and pheasants, and you just clip one wing of the flight feathers so they can't fly away. I'll just chuck them, and she'll just chase them down. She'll take her paw, she'll trip them up. They'll do a tumble roll, and she'll just grab them.
Jeez.
And she'll bring it right back. And dude, it's crazy.
I love watching those.
Yeah, you see these pheasants just kicking her and trying to spur her face. She's like, I don't care. This is fun.
Have you ever like not clipped the wing enough and then you just bought a pheasant and off it goes flying?
Well, I was trying to corral some chuckers, and one escaped my hand and then just took off. My dad's standing there. He's like, that's supposed to happen? I'm like, nope. He took off. And then I grab another one out of frustration. I grab the bat and it takes off as well out of my little parakeet cage I got. And I'm like, shit. There goes $24 worth of birds.
Where can you buy a bird for anyone out there looking to buy a pheasant?
You look up like bird game farms in your area. I go to this guy. His name's Murphy Game Birds in Minnesota. The dude's guy. He doesn't even know my name, but I'll promote him anyway. The dude sells good pheasants and good chucker partridges.
That's awesome.
The funny thing is that my neighbor texts me. He goes, check out these two partridges on my front porch. It's crazy that they're out here.
Oh no.
I'm like, dude, those are farm birds. They escaped. They had a recent jailbreak at the Andrews household.
Yeah. They're about to be my dog's mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, it sounds like if she was your main source of obtaining suckers, you'd probably just end up with a chum bucket.
Yeah. After she grabs a live bird, they don't last very long after that. They kind of just die.
Have you had her out for any fishing excursions while you've been up north?
Yeah. I've had her in the boat since she was maybe 12 weeks old. I mean, it didn't go too well for the longest time. She was pooping and peeing in my boat all over the place, but now she's good. She's used to boats, and we go trolling and go casting. She kind of just sits there, caught a few muskies around her. She likes to sniff them. Nothing.
Nice.
If it's not a bird, she doesn't care.
Did you guys see the video that was circulating on Instagram? I think it was a few weeks back. A guy was solo fishing with his two dogs, and one of the dogs jumped in the water and tried to eat the muskie when it was like boat side when he was trying to solo net it, and then
Was
it
this
got
a little
off.
tiny dog?
No, I don't think
Might be
so.
thinking of a different video.
It kind of looked like the Guru's dog. I can't remember which. He had two dogs. I think he had a black lab and maybe a gold. And one of them jumped in the water and tried to like T-bone
Like
the
into the
muskie.
net?
No. Like the fish was
fighting at
fighting
both
both
sides.
sides, and the
Oh,
dog was
jeez.
freaking out, and it jumped in the water, and then the fish like
What?
shook hooks, and the guy was just like yelling at the dog, and then he just starts laughing, and it's like that's a pretty damn funny video.
Yeah,
That's
he's lucky he
amazing.
didn't set the hook then back into the dog, and you got a real mess on your hands.
Well, I mean, I'd imagine like, if the bait's like flailing around out of the fish's mouth and the dogs are swimming around trying to chase the fish, like that could be a real
Yeah.
bad situation.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, feel like having your dog in the fishing boat, albeit awesome, could pose some difficulties if it's, a little rambunctious.
That's amazing.
I
I've
gotta go
had to
grab
train
a
my
beer.
dog a lot to not jump off the boat to get musky lures. It's been a very hard fought battle, but I think I've won.
So, Guru, I may have mentioned this last time you're on. My buddy and I kind of want to do it where it's a cast and blast, where you go out in the morning, hunt, and then just go soak suckers. Is that in the game plan at all?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
It's gotta
Yep.
be.
I got my big dilemma is there a good duck spot near or on a lake with giants? That's the thing I gotta find. If I'm gonna do that, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna cast and blast. I want to shoot some ducks, and then go swing for the fences for a super tanker. Just
That
see
would
what
be
happens.
like an unreal day to have
Yeah.
that all captured.
Dude, if you can somehow work in there, you catch a muskie midday. You shoot ducks in the morning, catch a muskie midday, and somehow shoot a buck at the end of the day with your bow. That's
Oh,
of
jeez.
a Wisconsin fall day.
Dude, we should put a name to that and see if you guys can set out and do that. I think if anyone could do it, it would be Gus and the Guru. That'd be one hell of a video.
I could do it. I could do it on a lake that we have property on. I could do it there. It'd be hard, but I think it's possible.
I mean,
I'd have to get a bow. I don't bow hunt. I could go like opening weekend or something of gun season to get a buck at like the afternoon or something like that. But I think duck is closed by then though.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah, you'd have to do
Yeah,
bow.
so that's a problem.
I actually just sighted in my bow. I got a new bow, bow sight, and I'm sighting it into about 80 yards. And I just did this calibration curve up to 60 over the weekend. That stuff is tough, bro. That's tough. That's I've never shot that far before. It's not easy.
Does that take like a couple hours to figure that out, or
Yeah,
you
it takes a
know
while,
that
but
you're
you don't want to get tired, because if you get tired while shooting a bow, then you're making adjustments. You'll start making adjustments for your like bad shots that you're tired, and then the next day you'll come back and you'll be good, and everything will be off. So it can take a couple days, because I don't want to shoot tired. I want to make sure my stuff's like accurate, So I have a couple more days of work ahead of me to get it dialed, but it's going cool, good. It's kind of cool to see an air hit a target at 60 yards. Unreal.
That is pretty far. That's very far. I've never shot a bow anywhere even near that. So
It's
I'm
wild.
not much of a hunting guy, so I wish I could contribute more, but like how many times are you gonna be able to get out and duck hunt, you think, this fall? I mean, what's like a realistic, I guess, amount of times?
I think I'm gonna get out opening day in September, and then I have the Muskie battle end of September, and then every weekend after that, I'm pretty much gonna get out with Carbon in October. Gonna go out to North Dakota, maybe end of October with some buddies, try to get some duck and goose stuff in.
Cool.
See if we can do that. Just kind of focus a lot of duck hunting in October. October is kind of the month for me to really duck hunt and goose hunt. That's dog will be well trained by then, and get her as much exposure as I possibly can.
You mentioned the Muskie battle. If you want to kind of dive into that, we talked to Alex McLean a little bit about it. Do you have a partner you're in it with, and kind of how competitive is it on your boat?
I have my good buddy Adam Flash, Mr. Flashy himself. He's gonna be joining me for the first time at the battle. It's my second year. It's not competitive at all. It's just a bunch of people kind of hanging out, being like, "What's up, dude? You want to be friends?" And just kind of everyone's real chill. It's great. Alex and those guys built a friendly battle. Like everybody's awesome. Nobody's just like out for themselves. Everyone's willing to share information. I mean, there's people there that I followed for years that I'm like, man, they're probably just like they're gonna be super secretive, and they're just like, no, I'll just tell you all about this spot, all about this. I'm like, this is crazy. It's not normal in the musky industry.
That's cool.
They built something really awesome. Like they're all genuine good human beings.
That's exactly what Alex is telling us. Sounds like a blast. I know you guys usually, is it in Bemidji again?
Bemidji, yeah, it's right in Bemidji. I'm blanking on the lodge, but it's right on Bemidji Lake. Yeah, it's always a good time. Unfortunately, this year I can't swing the 5 days. I only can be there 3 with vacation. I've gone on too many hunting and fishing trips this year.
It's
Sounds miserable.
It's a shame. It's a shame fall is right after summer because I'm right there with you. It's like you use up all this time during summer because you want to enjoy it. We only get it for a few months, and then fall comes around. You're like, I don't want to do anything besides just be outside and hunt and fish and do all that stuff. So, yeah, we also got to thank you for hooking us up with Alex. We had an awesome time with him. He's a great dude. Catches some fish, that's for sure.
Oh, dude, Alex is great. He's a fantastic human being and a fantastic angler. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's good. He was good shit. So yeah, you said I don't know if you touched on this, but do you have to like film for the muskie battle at all, or is it not like that either anymore? You just kind of go up there, you do your thing, and you guys drink at night and hang out and swap stories?
I believe we still have to film. It's nice for me. I only run one camera, just the hat cam, and sorry, my dog's being loud.
Feed my bird.
Yeah, I put her in her crate so she wouldn't harass me, and she's agitated. But yeah, you just kind of have to film. You can submit stuff. You submit stuff. Jeez, hey, Carbon, chill. You submit stuff. There's kind of like a musky battle on Instagram that they'll post stuff from everybody, but then everyone kind of posts their own thing. It's a fun time. You film during the day. You see how everyone's doing. It's like a live update thing on the battle group chat. And then you come back, you eat good food, and then you drink a bunch of beer and whiskey and stuff. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun to do it up at a place like Bemidji too, because I'm sure, I mean, with those lakes, like obviously you have a shot at a massive fish. So it's got to be fun to get up there and just like, when you have that many boats on that good of a water, like something cool is going to happen regardless whether it happens in your boat or not. You're going to hear something pretty sweet that weekend, I feel like.
Yeah. It's nice. This year we're doing it in September, end of September, which September up there is awesome. Instead of last year, I think it was close to end of October or close to end of October. So it was a little bit, I don't know. We kind of got like an Indian summer thing going on, so it was tough to get a good bite. But fish were caught. I think this year is going to be a banger year with.
Yeah, no, that's going to set up really well. I mean, Gus and I just got back from Vermilion a few weeks ago, so we finally just got our first taste of like real Minnesota fishing, and yeah, it was a little bit of a wake up call.
You guys got a big dog though. I saw on Instagram. I've been on Instagram a whole lot, but that was a big fish. How big was that?
It ended up going 48 3/4. I think I was in too much of a panic to really try to stretch it too much, which looking back was a little bit of a regret, not trying to get it to that 49. I mean, I don't know if it would have gotten 49, but it was a big fish. It was, I mean, we don't need to rehash it because we spent a lot of time on our last pod talking about it, but it was a pretty cool fish for us. I mean, it came at a really, really opportune time in that tournament. And, we were kind of fighting for our lives there for the first few hours and getting a real taste of what Vermilion can be like. Yeah. And, I mean, dude, we ended up having 2 bites that tournament, and one was the 48 3/4 and the other one was much bigger. So I'm pretty sold now on the whole northern Minnesota deal because those fish are just a different breed. I mean, the first fish we really rose there too was like another upper 40s, maybe 50. I have no idea. They just come in, they look like white ghosts. You're like, what the hell is that? They're following bucktails. You're just like, this is madness.
They're big. Vermilion is an ass beater, but every once in a while it blesses you with a big fish.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't wait to get back.
I've heard them kind of gas up the Minnesota fishing scene of Vermilion enough since it happened, but I'm curious if when you go for the muskie battle, if you guys are going to be having suckers out to play, and if you've had experience with suckers in Minnesota in the fall, because what they're saying makes me think if you go there with the old fall equipment, you get pretty good chances of hooking into something huge.
Minnesota fish, for the most part, where I've fished, don't care for suckers. There are certain areas, which don't believe I'm at liberty to say, that Minnesota muskies do like suckers. But from what I've experienced and heard about, the majority of the waters, they don't care for them. For whatever reason, we use suckers the entire time when we're up on leech. And for the muskie battle last year, for 5 days, we soaked suckers, not a single sniff.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it from the lack of sucker population at lake, or I feel like there's probably a bunch, I would think.
I don't know. I mean, Minnesota fish don't like trolling either. So it's something, those are two things that I'm like, what the heck? It's super strange. I don't know. It's odd. I mean, sure, some biologist has an answer.
I mean, I feel like the trolling could be from overpressure of just anglers buzzing over fish's heads all day for like 5 years straight, and then all of a sudden that class of fish doesn't need a trolling lure anymore. But the sucker thing is definitely interesting on why that just randomly doesn't work. I mean, I know we experienced a little bit of that up here in northern Wisconsin, but man, I think like every single lake that I know of just has a massive sucker population that at least we sucker fish.
Is it because a lot of those big lakes have like a high Cisco population, and maybe they're just keened in on those? Or
it could be. I mean, there are some Minnesota lakes that are very good for suckers, and people travel to them to go. But like, so you go up to the Bemidji area, I've not caught anything. I'm sure they get caught every year, but it's not crazy.
You can't run one if you're casting. I feel like that makes it kind of tough too.
It does make it tough because, when you're in Wisconsin, you're casting and got a sucker out, you're bringing fish in towards that sucker. In Minnesota, you're only allowed to have one sucker out and you got to sit there.
Yeah, that rule needs a change.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
That's outrageous.
You got any guru ninja tricks for, because we've, like, you just described a scenario that, like, I would say a lot of our sucker fish come on fish that we raise, and then they, peel off the bait, and you're sitting there for like 7 seconds, and all of a sudden you start hearing the line tick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do anything specific? Like, if you have a fish come into the 8 and kind of where your sucker is, I mean, do you try to guide that fish to the sucker, or do you just, kind of go off like, all right, regular scheduled program, and we're not going to do anything different, and then just hope that fish finds the meat? Or are you actually trying to guide that fish to it?
If the fish seems hot, I'm going to try to catch it in the 8.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time I'll get it. But if it kind of seems sluggish, I'm going to do like an L turn right at that sucker, and then just kind of keep figure eighting and keep redirecting him towards that sucker. It's kind of, I just base it off the mood of the fish. If he's crazy, I'm gonna try to catch him right there and now. If not, we'll try to see if he'll eat the sucker. And a lot of times they'll eat it, but they'll just look at it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we saw that when we got a live scope and we started using it during the fall, and just watched so many freaking dumb fish come up and look at the sucker for like, I mean, we had this one, it was actually with Gus and Brian. Do you guys remember that, when we had that fish come up on a sucker, and we literally turned off all the electronics, and we would just periodically check on it with live scope, and we just wind drifted like almost the entire lake, and the fish never ate it, but stayed on the sucker for what was it, like 30 minutes?
I think we kept second guessing, like maybe that's not a fish, maybe that's like some debris or something.
Oh, it was a fish.
One thing I hate about live scope is it shows you how many fish you don't catch and don't see.
Yeah.
It drives you crazy.
Oh my God.
I feel like
Yeah.
in one of the podcasts we maybe went into the blessing and the curse of that one lake that we fished where we didn't get bites at all, but then having live scope, we're like, there's fish everywhere. Like they're coming up to look at our sucker every 15 to 30 minutes, but without it for 6 hours straight, we would have been gone. We would have left that lake like 100%. It like told us we're in the right area because I think we ended up fishing many other spots, put the suckers out, put the live scope down, didn't see anything. And we just found out like, oh, they're not here, but they're in that spot. Whereas there's some lakes, I mean that one in particular is a new lake for us last year, but there's other lakes where, there's definitely going to be times in the fall where I'll get the live scope out, check the sucker depth, turn it off, call it good, wait for that clicker to go off.
I'm excited to kind of test like the whole power
Right.
down strategy this fall. So I feel like last fall we, maybe left the live scope in too long, and a lot of guys we talked to think there's some truth in that, where the live scope beam might make them a little skittish. So I think you learned your lesson on that big fish last fall to just go power off all the electronics and just sit there quietly and wait. So if we get some that are following it on live scope for 30 minutes, just go ninja mode and see what happens.
I think so. I mean, it's the I don't know if you've ever tried this, Tyler, but I'd be interested to hear if you have or not. But also from that PMTT, I don't know if anybody, I believe it's the it's the newsletter, the Musky newsletter on Saturdays. What are those called again?
Musky Insider.
Yes, Musky Insider, where I think Josh Borowski runs it, and he was in the PMTT at Vermilion, and he talked about how his third fish, whatever his last fish caught, to get him replaced into the top 5, where they went dark, quote unquote dark, where they shut off all their transducers, which were just their down inside image, obviously, in that tournament, and then they caught it. And actually, I ended up trying that just last week on a guide trip. I went through a spot that I know there's a ton of fish. We had pretty terrible conditions. I mean, there wasn't a cloud in the sky, but I'm like, I know there's a fish here. If we're going to get a bite, it's going to be here. And I shut off the trolling motor. I disabled all sonar, and I wind drifted. And then we had a hot fish in the 8, and the client got it. And that was like 10 minutes into doing that. Is that something that you've tried, Tyler? Maybe on like a spot super well, that you're just like, I don't need side image here. All I need is GPS.
Yeah, I've tried that. I've had success with it. I've more noticed it with live. Like ever since I got live scope, I noticed I catch way less fish, even though it's advertised you catch a lot. I have seen fish get hit by the beam and just straight up go, screw this, and turn straight around like mid retrieve. And I'm like, well, what is that? Do I just suck or have like a curse? And I think they can feel it with their lateral line because it is a very strong beam. I'm sure they can feel side imaging now because everyone's got it. But that Panoptics and Mega Live, it's just it's so powerful that I really don't use it a whole lot. I maybe use it in June for open water, and that's it. And then it's not even in my boat because I want to catch fish,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've barely used it since June as well. I mean,
it's kind of it's an expensive open water 1 month thing that I bought. Now I don't use it again. I won't use it again to like ice fishing, maybe suckers, but I don't really
ice
care.
fishing.
I've joked around with Gus. I'm like, the ROI on that is starting to get pretty low. I mean, if you want to catch a shit pile of crappies, it works out fantastic. But for muskies, I don't know, man. I think that they're getting a little conditioned to it, which, not that we're like, we don't really have strong feelings one way or another, but like it might be for the best of like actual just longevity of fisheries, that they're getting a little bit more sensitive to the beam, and maybe less people will kind of start stop using it a little bit more. Cause yeah, I mean, I think it's starting to get pretty known. Cause like when it came out, people were like, well, this is going to be ridiculous. I mean, and I think there are probably times like you were saying, for a 1 month open water bite, it can be. But I think it's getting to the point where now a little bit more people are catching on to like, okay, just because you have a live scope doesn't mean, especially northern Wisconsin. I feel like definitely northern Wisconsin, it's not the end all where like you can just go out on a day and catch 6, 7 fish. So I mean that's just my opinion. I mean we have it, we can't do it. So maybe we just suck at it. I don't know.
For us, it's been more of like a good ROI in the entertainment aspect on the boat. Like it's it's just kind of fun, being like, oh, let's see what's down there. And it is cool seeing fish show up on there. So like just being able to look at it's been fun. But in terms of like leading to fish, I mean, definitely a lot less than some of those open water Minnesota guys.
Real quick, Guru, I want to get back to the sucker thing. So you say you like sucker fishing in the fall in Wisconsin. Are you, is there a certain size sucker up there? We've kind of heard some mixed results. Are you pretty much, you're going to the bait shop, whatever they got, you're throwing it on, sucker rod, you're putting it a handful of feet down, you're calling it good? Or is there a little bit more thought behind how you're actually fishing these suckers?
When I pick out a sucker, I want the blackest sucker that I can possibly get in the tank.
Great tip. Great tip.
Yes.
Seriously.
Like, I want the darkest mofo in that tank, and then I want the second darkest one, third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah.
That's number one. And then 2, nothing smaller than 9 inches and nothing bigger than 12.
Sweet
I
spot.
prefer, I will take a 9 and I will take a 12. That's totally fine. Sometimes what I prefer is 2 super black suckers. I'll run 12 and a 9. And I've seen 35 inches eat a 12, and I've seen 35 inches eat a 9, and I've seen 45 inches eat a 12, and 45 inches eat a 9. I like running both. And then it really depends, because muskies, for me, their eyes aren't on top of their head. So I like to set my suckers relatively shallow, so they kind of have to look up at them, maybe 3 feet down at most. Unless I'm marking fish real deep, then I'll get it down to them, but I have to see that to do that.
So if you're fishing like a real trophy water, there's a giant, you don't get a little curious what a nice 2-foot sucker would look like behind the boat?
Yeah. If it's northern Wisconsin, if it's Minnesota and I'm on one of the lakes that they actually eat suckers, I'd put a big gazunga out there, like an 18-incher. I've done that. But northern Wisconsin's, they just don't like super big stuff. So, I'm not going bigger than 12. They'll eat that.
I feel like you're the kind of guy, I know we do this a little bit, but I feel like you got some probably pretty good names for your suckers. You got to name them, right?
I name them like Dickhead 1, Dickhead 2.
Yeah.
They're always coming up to the surface, and I got to put like a pound of lead on there to keep them down.
I knew it was gonna be something like that is like, it makes for a long day when you go there and you buy $30 worth of suckers and they're just flopping on the surface for most of the day. You're like, God, I'm just not getting my money's worth here.
A trick for that is there's these bell sinkers. You can buy them at Guide's Choice Pro Shop. Honest to God, don't know where else you can get these, but they're bell sinkers with a plastic snap on the top that that rotates. So it's not like stationary. It's kind of like it's got a swivel on it. And if you get it caught up in like a log or something, the snap just breaks and you lose the little bell sinker, which is fine. You rather get the sucker back and the rig and everything. But I'll take that and I'll put that right on their nose, like a 1 or 2 ounce weight right on their nose, right in front of them, and that keeps them down pretty well. And fish still eat it; they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a little trick if you want to keep your suckers down.
I got another question then to get deep into the suck fishing here. When you're talking like you have a 9-inch sucker, are you loading that bitch up with 2 trebles and a front hook too on the top, or are you just going 1 and 1 treble, or how do you like? Have you noticed any difference? Because I know that we've flip flopped back and forth a little bit. Gus has it very dialed in now, but when we started sucker fishing, I mean we were all over the map on the types of rigs we were using.
My first sucker fish I ever caught I just used one single treble hook. I didn't know what I was doing about a decade ago. And so was my dad, and that fish ate my sucker and then ate his.
No
It had
way.
both suckers in
What?
its mouth. Yeah, it was 36 inches. It was crazy.
What?
Yeah, there's a picture of us. It's like real blurry with a crappy camera, just like on our dock with this sucker or with this muskie. The thing survived, but it was like looking back on it, I'm like, what was I doing?
That makes me just want to throw a pounder the entire fall, knowing that a 36-incher wants that much food in 10 seconds.
That's a
Yeah,
greedy muskie. Jesus.
dude, it was
Christ.
crazy. But I've gone back between sucker rigs. I've made my own. I've gone through, Joe Bucher sucker rigs, Z Leader sucker rigs. They each has their, weaknesses and each has their benefits. I personally right now, I like the Z Leaders one. And I don't know the guy at all, but the guy makes good sucker rigs, the ones with like the 2-prong. That is probably my favorite. They're kind of staggered a little bit with the single hook in the front for the nose. I personally like that, and then I always just attach like some sort of painted blade on the front of that, kind of give it some wiggle, or even take like a bass skirt and kind of put that on there. Just bring it down so when that sucker wiggles around, you kind of got some flair and some color.
How do you get that blade on there if it's already a sucker rig that kind of has the swivel on it attached?
You can just cut the top, and then I always just retie it. I used to make leaders for a living. So I just retie it like everything. I know I know all the knots or have all the stuff to crimp, so I kind of can just like modify stuff on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody can do that, so you can just take I'm trying to think what I would do. You can just take a split ring, honestly, and just put that on there, and then just put like some sort of stopper above it, or put it below a hook or something, so it kind of has some sort of flash when the fish moves. Everyone's got a sucker out there with the rig. You kind of want it to stand out, in my opinion, something a little different, because muskies are curious,
Yeah, that's something I gotta try. We've actually never tried the blade in front, and honestly, there comes a time where I'm like, are they seeing the rig? And then here you are, just chucking some painted blades in front of it and, trying to get the muskie's attention more. And I'm here worried about like if the hook is above the fin perfectly so that it can't see it, or, I need, especially on clear water. And I don't mean to like circle back a lot, but have you seen difficulties in catching muskies on suckers in clear water during, say, like, I guess the daytime, even if it's cloudy?
I mean, I guess so, maybe. I mean, I spend more time on stained water and less on clear when I'm in Wisconsin. That's only because of proximity where I'm located. But I mean, I've had great success on clear water. I mean, there was this one day on the you guys had a really good day on that we've been talking about quite a bit. I remember my dad and I pulled up out of that boat launch. We drove out past the weed bed. I rigged up a sucker quick, just slapped some hooks on them and just put it out, and then got the stuff rigged out. And I was going to put them in a cooler and then just take off to the spot. And like a 38 just smoked it right there. Midday, high bright sun, clear water. I was like, well, all right then. I don't know. Sometimes I think about it and maybe they care. And maybe some of the smart ones that have been caught that way see it. But then I'm dumbfounded by just like, just some crazy hot fish in clear water just smokes it like midday, high bright sun, where you can see like 15 feet down. I found with muskie fishing that I'm trying to do more of is think less and kind of just like, okay, these are good conditions, just go out and pitch. It's
Right.
I think we can think about it a little too much, and sometimes that even pigeonholes you. That's happened to me a lot, where I'm thinking about it so much I don't even know what to do. It's almost like I'm paralyzed.
I've done that once or twice already this summer, and it's pretty much resulted in not much.
Yeah, I literally, Gus, we've talked about this, but I honestly think like we need to start kind of incorporating like some of our tournament strategies into just day-to-day fishing, because I feel like day-to-day fishing, we are thinking about everything. We're running and gunning. We're, trying a million different things. And we've had success in tournaments by literally just dumbing it down, simplifying it, being like, okay, we feel really confident we can get a bite on this bait, fishing this way. And we just stick to it, and we're really stubborn about it. And I don't know. I feel like sometimes we kind of overthink things when you're just out there for like a full 8-10 hour day. You got all this time, when in reality, you might just have 2 bite windows that day. And if you just kept throwing the same bait, like eventually you'll get hit. Yeah, I don't know. Just a thought. I mean, I think a lot of people probably get in their heads. I mean, when you're not seeing anything for hours on end, your natural, I guess, guts telling you like, hey, I got to do something different, right? But in reality, you might not have to at all. Just waiting for that bite window to open up.
Mhm.
Right. And some days they're just extremely tight. I mean, especially the days that are high bright sun and windy or calm. Just those sunny days, you just usually are like, God, nothing's changing, but there's going to be a window. And that's where I have just fished literally spots over and over and over again until something gives, even if it's with the same bait. And then something eventually gives. It's insane.
All right. So I got to ask, I mean, I don't want to be repetitive, but for the people that are tuning in, I mean, we've like, as you know, we didn't really have an agenda coming in tonight at all. We were just happy you were able to come on and chat with us. And we've kind of gone down this fall path, I think, which is fitting because as you've seen the weather, I mean, it's going to get cold and fall's right there. But if one of the weekends you're up and you're going out for a fall day, like what are the 3 baits that you're for sure throwing throughout the day? You got the sucker rigged up behind the boat, but what else are you like, okay, these are the 3 lures I gotta have in the boat for this time of year?
Definitely a Suic, a Red October tube, and a depth raider. Probably join it. I prefer jointed depth raiders, jointed crankbaits over anything else. The jointed crankbait for trolling or ticking rocks, and then tubes and Suics for weed edges and rocks as well. Depending on what stage of fall it is, I'd probably throw in a bucktail, but if it's like mid to late October, I'm not pitching anything fast.
Yeah. So are you kind of keeping things quick? Not always quick, but just like, are you kind of fishing more traditional stuff up until turnover? And then once turnover hits, it's, kind of change the game plan. Like, what are you doing pre-turnover, I guess, in the month of September?
I mean, if you come on my boat, you'll just see me throwing a Suic or a tube, or maybe like a bucktail or something. Maybe a glide bait, like a hot tail glider or something, or like a warlock. But I kind of just keep it to those. Post turnover, I'm probably gonna be slow trolling, to be honest with you. I put some lead weights on like a 4-foot leader, and I'm trolling like 2.8 miles an hour, and just slow creeping along the lake and smoking fish if I'm fishing and not hunting.
Right. Yeah, I guess like fishing related. I mean, are you too like in September and early October? Are you targeting a certain kind of system, and then are you switching to a different system post turnover, or are you kind of just sticking with the same system and then changing tactics? Or how would you task? So say like you were up in northern Wisconsin for the whole fall, they just made duck hunting illegal, and you had to fish the whole time. I just kidding. I saw that face. A very, very terrible hypothetical, but
until turnover, I'm fishing. So up until turnover on like the big lakes, I'm fishing a big lake with big fish, taking big swings.
Sure.
Fishing weed beds, fishing rocks, fishing deep weed edges. As soon as turnover hits on the big lakes, then I'll switch to the small ones and fish them the same way I was fishing that big one until they turn over. Then once they all turn over, I'm going to pick a lake with high numbers that have some mid 40s in them, and I'm going to troll slow because I just want to catch something. It's cold, want to have some success.
Sure.
If I'm feeling really frisky, I'll go back to a big fish lake, but it's mostly I want to catch something when it's like 32 degrees out.
I think that's honestly really good advice, because I think sometimes we get caught up into the whole like, all right, it's post turnover, now's the time to go to the big water, try to get the really big bite, grind your ass off, fish in 29-degree water, have your reel freeze up, throw a pounder all day. Cause that's, what people kind of think of like the late fall period. But I mean, I know Gus, like you had a lot of success last year. In a
On
not a
numbers lakes.
numbers lakes in the late fall, catching really nice fish and having action for clients and yourself. I mean, there's definitely something to that. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. There's big fish in Number Lakes. Just around that time, it's a good time to go for big fish. But I find those Number Lakes, like Gus, you were fishing last year. It's just there's big fish there. You're gonna get more
Yeah.
opportunities that time of year.
It's also the time of year when that spot where there's like 35 inchers, there's probably a low to mid 40s hanging out within a couple 100 yards, not even of that same stretch, because everybody just hangs out in the same spots. So
Yep.
that is something I definitely am going to do this fall. Now I'm just like thinking about it in my head, and it's like I'll try for some trophy opportunities, but no, I really got to get the rod bent, the trolling rods and the sucker rods. So good call.
Trolling's fun. You can eat soup and eat some chili and like fish at the same time. It's pretty fantastic.
I agree.
Hands free, baby. It's clean living right there.
Dude, I love it. I love trolling. People in my boat are like, I hate trolling. It's so boring. I'm like, why? I get to check Instagram and eat chicken wings. It's freaking awesome, man.
It is awesome.
You don't have to sell Gus and I. Brian's the one you got to sell on. I'm not sure if Brian's even been in the boat yet for a trolling fish. I could be wrong.
I have, but it was a trolling fish that came like 5 seconds after Gus threw the bait back. So I was like, oh, wow, that's nice. All right, back to casting. But I'll be more apt to troll in the fall because especially on a Saturday or Sunday when we can pull up a little football game and just kick back and relax while the baits are cranking back there.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't wait for that, man. This conversation's gotten me really fired up to go fishing.
I'm really fired up. But
yeah, then like you said though, it's like all of a sudden like 3 weeks go by in a blur, and now it's 38 degrees and spit and sleet, and you're like, oh,
icing up on majority of the lakes.
Yeah, goes quick.
Yeah, it does.
But before that fall, I have the end of the fall, Guru. I have another question about September. And I know you gave your 3 baits, and maybe some of the listeners, their 3 baits might be different. And I think one of them that I feel like a majority would say in September, and this is all I ever hear, is top water. Is that something that you incorporate into September at all? I know people just love it because the fish are shallow, and if it's a shallow fish, they'll typically go after a top water a little bit more. But what are your thoughts on that?
Blades and bucktails in September are awesome. They're fantastic for the shallow fish. I absolutely do throw them. They just didn't fall in my in my only 3 that I could pick.
True.
So I'd incorporate them.
I gave you the really basic bitch podcast question there, but I just feel like you'll randomly just throw out all these really good nuggets. So I feel like if I just ask you one question, something good's gonna come out of it. So
I love it.
Oh man. Yeah, Gus, that's a good point because I mean it's for us, it's been like we've joked, it's kind of been the return of the bucktail for us this summer. Like we didn't really fish them that much 2 years ago, and for whatever reason this year they've done well for us. But I think lately it's been a little bit cooler on it. So I'm excited for that bucktail bite to kind of come back a little bit stronger in northern Wisconsin.
I think it should. I think it definitely should. I mean, the bucktail bites have been very few and far between. Even for a while there, it was like I'd have somebody, if there's 3 people in the boat, for sure somebody's throwing a bucktail like all summer. But there's a time there, if it's 1 or 2 people, if I'm solo or if there's just one other person, I'm only waiting to throw a bucktail like the 10 minutes up to peak moon and the 10 minutes after. Like that's when I think there's going to be a really hot fish. Otherwise, it was not really happening a whole lot.
Well, we got what other shit you want to talk about, Guru?
I don't quite know.
Do you have any like musky trips already planned for next year that might be, I mean, Canada or somewhere a little bit more special?
I will be going back to Lake of the Woods.
Oh, you
I haven't been
bastards.
back in 4 years since COVID hit. Last time I went with Booker twice, and then COVID hit, and we are just kind of done. We used to go every year together. I used to go with my dad too, so I used to go like 3 times a year, and that stretch of like 4 or 5 years was awesome. And then now I haven't been back in so long. Like, I kind of forgot about it and kind of just ignored it. And then this year, my buddies went up, and I declined to go because I just didn't have time with all my other trips planned, and I kind of regret that because Canada is awesome, and I have all these great spots and learned so much about Lake of the Woods and what to look for. That I'm just like, all right, Dad, we're going back. We don't know what lodge we're going to, but I think we're gonna probably try to keep it on the cheaper side, not to have like all the hot meals and everything. Might just kind of rough it.
Well, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up because we've never been to Canada to musky fish. We've done, the just like the traditional fly in lodge, walleye, pike deal, which is a lot of fun, but we really want to plan a trip to either Lake of the Woods, Eagle, one of those lakes up there. We really want to go to Canada and musky fish. So it sounds like you got some experience up there. Is there a time of year like you'd recommend a target if we could only get up there one time? Is there a bad time to go to Canada? Or, I mean, is there a better time, I guess, to kind of target for a trip?
The worst time, like every year at the end of August, Joe and I would go up to the Crow Rock area. Um, that that area, I mean, you have to think of Lake of the Woods as like separate lakes. Each section is different it's kind of good during different times of the year. Like at least the Big Narrows area where we would focus on mainly is not that great end of August. I've been there, I think, a couple weeks at the end of August, and it just sucks. It's a grind every time. But if you go to the Big Narrows, say the weekend after July 4th, it's phenomenal. It's really, really good. Really good. You're catching, you're having like a 30, 40 fish week. It's
Damn.
really, really good. If you know where to go and know what you're doing.
Sure.
I mean, the problem with Lake of the Woods is you drive 100 yards and you find 100 spots. So,
Yeah.
it's a lot of like, surplus spots. You don't know what to do or where to go. You kind of just have to figure it out as you go. I remember the first time I went there, I was like, just daunting. I couldn't catch a fish for first 4 days because I just was like, that spot, that spot, that spot.
Was it like mostly, I mean, were you mostly fishing rocks, stuff like that?
There's a lot of rocks. You're mostly fishing rocks on Lake of the Woods. There's some weed beds. All weeds hold fish on Lake of the Woods. There's a lot of good tree down areas. Those hold fish, but like good rock humps. There's these things we call garages, which are like cuts out of the Canadian Shield rock that kind of sandy in the back. Those all have fish. All rock points have fish. All rock structure has fish. All islands have fish. It's kind of crazy. You pick an island that's rocky and fish the whole thing, you'll find a fish or catch one.
So do you typically just speed fish it through? I mean, like you said, you're getting distracted with all these good looking spots, but like to me, it seems like that's the only way to fish it is just spot hop and you're just gonna come across hot fish.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you try to pick out like, okay, that's a wind blown point. You look at the wind. Okay, these points are getting hit. These bays are getting hit. Currents. There's Lake of the Woods, by the way, has some pretty ripping current. So like this area, it's kind of like a river. Like this area's got some ripping currents. So maybe this point here is gonna be good, and then you kind of just run and gun. I mean, until you find some hot fish. I mean, now after being there, going maybe spending like 10 weeks on the woods, it's I have a bunch of spots already, like a couple milk runs that you develop. But you just develop it by running and gunning, and looking for the key stuff that's good, that you already know that's good, and then just trying it out.
So what's the deal with that current? Is that mainly like a spring thing, or I mean, even in the fall, like if it's been a dry summer, like it's still very noticeable?
Oh yeah, all year. Up in the Narrows, there's this channel, and they're like cliff faces, and it's maybe 100 feet deep, and there is current just ripping through there. It's basically like an ocean.
Damn.
And you can see it. There's this one spot. My buddies and I, we call the vortex up there. That if you put your boat in it, your boat will start spinning in circles. So the current.
Holy shit.
like one of my buddies put his Ranger there, and it just started slowly spinning clockwise, just slowly back and forth.
Jeez.
Crazy. And
That's
there's, it's crazy, man. There's a rock right there, and a big old fish is on it every single day.
So you're keying in on like eddies, and there's fish that just sitting at eddies.
Yeah, there's like eddies, but it's a lake with eddies. It's
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's there's and the crazy thing too, if say you catch a fish on this one rock point Saturday, you should check it again by the end of the day, and then definitely the next day because another fish will move in on it. Like they move, Lake of the Woods fish move quite a bit, and if one fish busts out of there after you catch them, another one will move on in.
Wonder if that's similar to vermilion at all, because I mean where I ended up hooking that really, really giant fish that I still is a little hard to talk about. We fished that particular spot probably, what would you say, Gus, 10, 12 times, 8 times? I don't know. Like every time we passed it, we're like, let's just fish it because it looked so good. We knew that there was fish on there. We had moved to fish there pre-fishing, but we had never seen anything like the fish that I hooked just out of nowhere. All of a sudden, it's like that fish hasn't been there, or if it had, it didn't decide to follow any of our baits or anything. So yeah, that type of fishing feels a little different than what we're normally used to in northern Wisconsin, but it's a lot of fun. I'd love to get up to Lake of the Woods. I think it'd be a blast. So we appreciate a little insight there if we're trying to dial up a little boys trip.
You have to contact my buddies, the Metro Muskie Maniacs. They got a good spot for like group trips. And,
they've been getting up there a lot. We follow them on Instagram. They've been putting a hurting on some Canadian fish, and seems like they get up there quite a bit.
Yeah, they my buddy Jaime, they got I don't remember what lodge it is, but they got a good lodge. You should contact them. I might go with them next year. They got a good spot that's pretty reasonable.
It seems like the almost ideal place for like a big ass like boys muskie trip, because like you could roll 10 different boats out of the lodge on any given day, and you guys, it sounds like you might not even see each other for the whole day, and then you just see each other at camp later on.
Oh yeah. I mean, what I like doing is gosh, I've caught muskies off the docks at the lodges. Like you don't have to go far. Like we've gone around the corner and popped the 49. You're just like, okay, what the heck? I didn't. And then like the day previous, you ran like 25 miles north and like caught a good amount of fish, and then you come back and someone's like, yeah, I caught a 50 next to the dock. You're just like, come on.
That's hilarious.
It's such a big lake. You're just not going to see anybody. It's a crazy lake. I personally, people like the southern part of the woods. I've never fished it. From learning from guys like Booker have fished it for 40 years, the bigger fish reside in the big narrows and in the northern parts of Lake of the Woods. There's big 50s everywhere. There's probably a 60-incher in every section of the lake, but
Jesus,
on average, what I've heard from all the old timers up there and all these old guides, that the big narrows has the highest density of big fish. I mean, like all the muskie schools are in that area, or if the muskie schools are far away from it, they all boat up to the big narrows area because that's where all the highest density of big fish are.
So like with us fishing it for the first time, hopefully next summer, I mean, would you say for us, like just consult with a lot of people and then go out there and figure it out yourself? Or would it be, hire a guide for a day or two and do it that way and then have our own boat still there for, the next few days?
I didn't hire a guide the first time we went. I've never hired a guide for up there. I personally wish I did, because it would have saved me like 4 or 5 days of just scratching my head. Like, I don't know, like, I know this is good, but like these 100 spots look good. And I'm just going to spend like 5 hours just picking apart like this 100-yard stretch and catch nothing. I think it'd be beneficial to get a guide for like one day just to kind of show you the ropes and kind of help. Like you guys are used to northern Wisconsin waters, and I'm sure vermilion was huge. Like,
huge.
This place makes vermilion look like a puddle. So it kind of like coming from northern Wisconsin, fishing a 200-acre lake pretty much every day, going to a 1,000,000-acre lake, it just screwed my mind up for almost the whole trip, where I just couldn't digest the vastness of spots. And I think it would have been very beneficial to have a guide personally. That's what I would do. If I was going back, had to start over, I'd get a guide, then, figure it out after that for sure.
So when you were trying to tackle this big body water by yourself, like you said, without a guide, did you mess around at all with some night fishing up there, or is it too sketchy to be out there at night?
Absolutely not. No way, dude. If you night fish on Lake of the Woods, you have either big balls or you're dumb as shit.
It might be a good video.
Dude, I think when we were up there the second time I was up on Lake of the Woods with my dad, someone died. They were out boating at night, hit a rock bar that was unmarked, and everybody died.
Yeah, all right, maybe not a good idea.
Yeah,
Sounds
no.
good though.
We'll table
I've been
that
on
one.
I've been on the boat with Booker before when he was boating back through the woods. He's like, I know this channel very well, and he shut his electronics off because they were too bright.
Oh no.
And it was like a 20-minute ride back to camp, and somehow he dodged every rock. And I'm just like, well, I'm probably gonna die tonight, but at least it's with Joe Booker on Lake of the Woods. So that's pretty cool.
Were you just like white knuckling your seat that whole drive, or I mean,
I about punched a hole through his recon seat. It was crazy. But if you're gonna night fish at night on Lake of the Woods, go all the way back to camp, pick 2-3 islands and some rock bars that you can see, maybe auto chart them or go look at them during the day.
yeah,
Look all around them during the day for unmarked rocks that could sink you, and then go fish that at night.
Yeah. I'm thinking more so maybe just pull the boat 50 yards off the dock and just start casting around your little bay you're in.
Yeah, I would be like, I've done some crazy musky stuff, but fishing Lake of the Woods at night, no thank you. I'm staying very within eyesight of camp. Like I'm not screwing around, because even though that's a very well mapped out lake, there are so many rocks that are unmarked. I mean, dude, you can be in 300 feet of water and like a pillar of rocks will come up to 6 inches under the surface.
That's
jeez.
nuts.
And it'll be like a diameter of 6 feet, and that's it. And it'll just go down.
How the hell were you getting around that first day you fished it? I mean, were you just like
Driving slow.
driving super slow and
Yeah. You wanna, so like a trick we learned is if you're going fast and say it's 100 feet of water and stuff starts coming up quick, you stop and slow down and look around. You wanna, I mean, the map's pretty good. There's main channels on there that are mapped out really well that you can see on the Navionics chips. Those ones you can go fast in. And, one thing that I do is each day I make a new like track. So one day will be red, one day will be blue, one day will be green. And I kind of make my main navigation channels. And I know the area pretty well now that I don't really need to do that. But man, when we were first starting, like you're just kind of driving slow and you're following the main channel going fast. Then when you want to break off somewhere, you kind of break off slow. And then you kind of just build your map and your safe trails throughout the whole time. 'Cause ripping off lower units there, man, that lake just eats them alive.
yeah, so we've heard. But regardless, I mean, I can't wait to get out there and check it out. I mean, I think this year more than anything, I think through fishing the PMTT and stuff, we've like finally started to get out of our comfort zone a lot more. And it sounds like Vermilion might have been a good like precursor for us before we go to Canada. Cause I mean, even that our first day there, like it was really windy. We couldn't really see much of what was going on. And that's a lot of what we did, just driving around slow and hope that, because we didn't have a replacement unit. So yeah, it's it's a whole different game. Not used to that in northern Wisconsin much. I mean, dependent. There's a few lakes, I'm sure, in northern Wisconsin that you can get into some trouble, but definitely not quite like Canada, I'd imagine.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. Eagle Lake's even worse. Loch Sewell's even worse than Eagle. Loch Sewell, I've never been there, but everyone that tells me about it says it's worse than Eagle. And I'm like, how can it be worse than Eagle? Because Eagle's bad. But, Lake of the Woods is out of the dangerous lakes in Canada, Lake of the Woods is the safest.
I can't even picture like what Loch Sewell would be. Like Lake of the Woods sounded bad as you were describing, like do not go at night. But like, I mean, it's so foreign to us in northern Wisconsin. It's just a minefield of boulders.
Loch Sewell, it's kind of like a river system out there. So they'll just have stumpy. Well, they'll have floating trees, like full on like 200-foot oak trees just floating out there.
Oh, jeez.
So, like that's one place you don't even leave. As soon as it starts getting dark, you go home.
Yeah.
It's that's not a place I'd ever want to be out at night because Lac Seul is scary. You also got tons of bears up there, so you get stranded on an island. You can be stranded with a bear or something. No, thank you.
I'm not trying to go fisticuffs with a bear up there. That's not something I'm trying to do during a fishing trip.
No, that'd be a bad guy's week for you. That'd be bad.
Yeah, I did a good amount of camping out in Colorado, and I lived there, and that was enough for me. There was a few close encounters with some weird animal shit out there that I've had my fill. I'm good. So had a moose it was a moose that was in rut that almost took me off my mountain bike.
Oh, jeez.
One time charging down the hill. Yeah, I had to brake so fast and so hard that I actually went over my handlebars because this all of a sudden out of the corner of my eye, I saw this moose coming down the hill and it was in rut.
Whoa.
Like, I don't know if it had me as its target or whatnot, but it wasn't getting out of my way. So
He was chasing behind you?
no, it was like, so the mountain bike trail
T-bone
was running, like sideways on the hill, right? Like it was a switchback.
Oh, yeah.
And
He's over to your left.
I saw kind of out of the corner of my eye something moving down the mountain, and I like look up and it's just a fucking massive moose. It's a massive moose, and I hit the brakes so hard I got so freaked out that I went over my handlebars and just kind of laid there like, well, that was weird. Just the thing just kept flying down the mountain. It was nuts.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was out in Steamboat, and a few other close encounters too. Mountain biking. I used to mountain bike to work, and I'd turn a corner and there'd just be a big ass moose standing there in the middle of the trail, and kind of just look at each other and hope he wasn't in a bad mood that day.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of lucky those moose were replaced with like mountain lions or something that like is gonna hunt you down. Like
I did have a mountain lion encounter in Colorado camping. I was actually fly fishing really early one morning, and I walked out. I was on a beach, so it was a big reservoir, and it was like grass, and then about 15 feet of beach. And I walked out and was fly fishing down the bank, and I was going down. I was kind of in my own head, not really paying attention to much, just watching the sun come up. I turned around, start walking back to camp, and there was fresh mountain lion tracks over where I had walked. I took a picture of them. I'm like, these weren't there when I was walking this way. So that guy,
he's watching you.
He came out, took a peek. I never saw him, and he went back into the woods.
Oh.
He was checking out to see if I was a deer drinking water or something, and I called my uncle, freaking out. I'm like, what? Because at the time I didn't really even realize, I was kind of new to the car. I took a picture of it, and he goes, "That you had a mountain lion come and check you out." And I was like, that's really scary.
You didn't have a gun on you or any sort of self-defense?
No, I was an idiot. I was in college.
Yeah.
Even if I had a gun on me, I don't even know what I would have done.
Yeah.
So. Oh man. Well, Guru 2.0 interview. That is awesome, man. I can't thank you enough for coming back on here. I know we're gonna have you back on, hopefully like in the winter to shoot the shit. I'm sure you got a few more things to get off your chest. I know we kind of talked about something we didn't touch on tonight that I think we kind of chatted about pre this interview, so we'll get to it next time. But just kind of the overall social media and musky fishing stuff. I know that you got a thing or two you wanted to chat about there.
Mm-hmm. We can call it the state of musky fishing.
Yeah, I like that. We're gonna need some stuff to kill some time this winter, so I think that's gonna be a pretty fun episode. And right now, I was joking with Brian and Gus before we came on. Like we're pretty new to kind of putting ourselves out there in quotes, to the musky world, doing the podcast and kind of having some pictures and stuff from tournament fishing and whatnot. And luckily we've kind of skated through with minimal hate. Besides, what's the comment we have on our Apple podcast? I think it's our only review actually, and it's just the guy and it says "end it."
Yeah, just end it. That's his review.
That's his review. It's like Ranger Killer 213 or something.
That's fantastic.
Shout out that guy.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out.
But like I said, we've been really lucky. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people, but I know that there's definitely another side to the socials and fishing and whatnot. And, someone like yourself who's kind of also been in the, I don't know, would you say spotlight, quote unquote, or whatever, but you definitely have put yourself out there as well in the social media world. So I'm sure you've kind of dealt with all of it.
It's interesting. Yeah, I haven't actually received like any hate whatsoever. Maybe because people just, I don't know, think I'm a genuine guy or whatever. But I've definitely seen it and experienced maybe in-person hate or in-person BS, and that's something that I'd love to talk about in the future for sure.
Yeah, well, we'll dive into that. Like you said, we'll call it the state of musky fishing. So you guys will have to stay tuned for that one. I'm sure that'll be like on a chilly November night or something. Maybe we'll dial you up and we'll let you go.
I love it.
All right, man. Well, we can't thank you enough, Brian. Gus, you got anything else?
No, not a whole lot. I appreciate you coming on tonight. Always fun to chat with you for a bit. And I'm looking forward to seeing Carbon a little bit more on your Instagram stories, chasing down wounded birds.
Oh yeah, dude. It's been a blast talking to you guys. She'll be up there. She's actually right here in my face. You can see her. She's right there.
There she
Carbon.
is.
Girl.
Hey, Carbon.
Go girl.
Just harassing me because she wants to play with Dad while he's talking.
Is she giving you more than like 5 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep a night?
I'm getting more sleep.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been kind of. I let her sleep with me now, and funny enough, she likes to sleep in when she sleeps in my bed. But when she sleeps in her crate,
Oh no, she's learning.
Get up early.
Yeah, and she acts like she deserves 100% of my attention.
Kind of does.
Yeah, she does. She's a cute girl. She's a good dog.
That's awesome.
Well,
All right,
thank
man.
you so much, Tyler, for coming on. I just want to thank you again. I know the guys just said that, but good luck this fall on your fishing hunts and duck hunts and buck hunts and all that stuff. And keep Carbon busy. And definitely looking forward to having you on again this fall or winter or both. So yeah, for Guru 3.0 and more.
Thank you. Good luck, boys. Tight lines.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Well, have
Cheers.
yourself a good evening.
Peace.
All right. Well, we can't thank the Guru for coming on again. That was awesome. Got a few little fall ninja tricks with sucker fishing and kind of the change of the seasons within the fall. Kind of got to talk through that with him, which was really cool, and even a little sneak peek of some Canada stuff. So that was great to hear for our hopeful trip next year. But let's move it on to some other important topics. Merch God, Brian Eckel, where are we at with everything? What's going on?
Well, I'm pretty stoked 'cause I finally got my prototype sweatshirt. I've been repping it ever since I got it a couple days ago. I was up north, but looks like that new stuff is getting close. Shouldn't be too much longer here. That big order's coming in. I'm thinking maybe next week might be posting a giveaway, so stay tuned on the Instagram for that. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned for another update.
Okay, sounds good. So
Wait.
it's been ordered. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
Yeah, yep,
Okay,
correct.
so it's been ordered. It's in the works. It'll be coming out soon. All right. Just want to make sure I got all my facts straight here. And then for our Common Man Muskie segment this week, we're just gonna push it off till next week, stockpile a few more stories from you guys. So if you do have any submissions, again, you got any cool fishing stories that happened to you this summer, can really be anything. It doesn't have to be like a personal best fish or anything. I mean, we've had some really great feedback from some of the stories we shared last week. So we really appreciate you guys sending those over to us. And again, that can be sent over via Instagram to our Muskies on Tap page, or feel free to just shoot me a text, Max, at 920-205-9192. So either way you want to get those to me, that they're all greatly appreciated, and we love sharing the stories from you guys on here. But Gus, take us home here, man. It's late. We've had a long weekend. I can tell Brian's half asleep over there already, so I know he needs to go to bed. But yeah, take us away.
Yeah, before we get sent off here, Remember to check out our Instagram page, Muskies On Tap, and also my guide service page at Suggs Fishing. You can also find me on Facebook, add me as a friend, Gus Manti, or my guide service page, which is Suggs Fishing Guide Service on Facebook. So you can also get in touch with me on my cell phone if you just want to talk fishing or book a trip, and that's 920-264-3816. Before we sign off here, I want to thank the Guru again for giving us a stellar interview, great nuggets, and can't wait to talk to him again. So I think that wraps it up on my end, and I just want to wish everyone out there the best of luck on the start of September for some stellar fishing, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to be getting out as much as possible. Got some more trips coming up. Had some good luck lately. Had some more first muskies. We've had some PBs. I'm hoping to keep on breaking that and getting some more in the boat and just and going after big fish. So Brian, you want to take us away?
Bring some heat here, Brian.
Yeah, I just gotta say, everybody, I'm sure everybody's a little banged up from celebrating the great holiday of Labor Day. Shout out to the troops. Thank you for your services. And we were all blessed to celebrate accordingly. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting into September here. It's going to be coming that month of that good suck. Make sure to load up at your local bait shop. Get all the gear you need because big fish are on the move. They're looking for that sucker, and they're going to be pouncing at the opportunity.
Jeez.